If you had to pick one position on the Chargers offense that would be the weakest, what would it be in your mind? So let's bring back positional battles this week as we're going to wrap up the offense with the most interesting questions that I'm sure Justin Herbert and company want to know going into camp. Who's going to play center? Let's get into it. All right. So a topic of discussion that's probably been going on since the end of the 2024 campaign is who's going to play center going forward. It was a very interesting turn of events of how the center position played out all the way back since Corey Linsley was forced to retire, in all honesty. It's definitely gone back since then. And it's been a kind of a revolving door in a sense of who's going to lock down a position and be there permanently, right? They tried out Bradley Bozeman last year, and we all know how that went if you're a Chargers fan and you've been watching games in its entirety like I have. But let's talk about the 2025 campaign and who's going to play center. Let's get into it. This particular position has an interesting twist in the positional battle conversation because it has a lot of ramifications from not only center as well, but left guard. Left guard is a point of emphasis as well because the person that's currently slated to play left guard could be playing center. We don't know yet. But without further ado, let's talk about who's battling who. So we got three names for my professional opinion that are going to be running into camp vying for two spots. The tackle position and the right guard are pretty much solidified. I think the center, most importantly, and the left guard are at stake here. So we got three names on the docket here, and let's talk about each one individually and my pros and cons about each one of these guys. Let's talk about it. So let's start off by talking about I guess you can say, the newly incumbent person, because we have Andre James, former Raider. We have Bradley Bozeman, who was a starting center last year. And you can't see my eyes, but I'm rolling them about Bradley Bozeman. And then it's Zion Johnson, who's been rumored heavily to be tried out for the center position. So I want to start out by saying I really wish the Chargers would have addressed the guard position at least in the draft or free agency, because all three of these names fighting for the starting role have their shortcomings. And let me not completely drag their names in the mud and say they don't have strength as well, because they do. They do have strength as well, but the shortcomings are very profound. Let me say it that way in certain regards. So let's start off with the incumbent, Bradley Bozeman. So Bradley Bozeman in the 2024 campaign is left a lot to be desired in the pass protection game. Let me start by saying that. But I will say this in a positive light, that he is a terrific run blocker. But unfortunately, he's terrible at two things. And the Chargers knew this going in, which is disturbing for me in his own right. But he's bad at anchoring the O-line and calling out protections, one. He's even worse at just general pass protection as an O-lineman in general. Like no matter what position he plays, guard, center, whatever, he's bad at pass protection. And they knew that going in. They knew he had struggles when the Ravens had him. They knew he had struggles when the Panthers had him. It keeps getting more and more exposed as days and weeks and months go on. But they signed up for it. Yet again, I'm rolling my eyes again. You can't see it, but yes, they signed up for that not once but twice. So you had that. There you have it. You know, but you can see interior defenders eat him for lunch on a regular basis on pass downs, which again makes him even more interesting why they brought him back to compete for the job. And they get him not only brought him back, but they brought him back and gave him a 2-year deal, which is not a deeply invested 2-year deal that they gave him. The team can get out of it, pretty seamlessly. But just the idea, the thought of it gives me pause. So that's why I land on Bradley Bozeman's topic. It gives me pause about exactly who he can be for this O-line and how he let Justin Herbert and the offense down a lot of times when being the captain of the O-line and calling out pass protections and just overall blocking the man in front of you. It was left a lot to be desired. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then that turned my attention to Andre James, who they just brought in free agency. Andre James is a former Raider. Now, me listening to Raider fans, I have quite a few Raider fans, that listen to my pod and, colleagues in that nature. I've listened to them podcasts, listened to them talk about Andre James in the past. I've seen him play against the Chargers in different spaces, different avenues while he was with the Raiders. And I'm not going to act like he was a wild guy. I didn't sit here back in my chair and say, "Hey, we need that guy on our team. We need a center like that." I didn't say that. But two things that have been consistent about him that people have talked about him when they're being critical. The two things that kind of stuck out to me about who he is. Now, I will say this: he's not the best run blocker, which is a complete and utter contrast of what Bradley Bozeman is. People have been, who have criticized him for not being a physical player either. Like he's not the mauler in the big presence in the middle that Bradley Bozeman and some other centers have been or are in NFL, right? But there's one redeeming quality that he does have that people call out, even the people that don't like him in general. It's that he's really good at pass protection. He's really good at line calls. So again, if you put Bradley Bozeman and him together, they will make one good center. But of course, you can't do that. Nor can you swap them out for pass versus rundowns because that's a dead giveaway to defensive coordinator say if I sub Bradley Bozeman and they're running the ball, if I sub Andre James and they're passing the ball, so you can't give that away. So again, that there lies a dilemma about who is the leader in the clubhouse from a skill set perspective. Bradley Bozeman can run block, can't pass block worth a damn, and Andre James can pass block, but can't really run block that well. He's not the most physical of guys. I mean, people have had their way with him in certain spaces with really good interior linemen. He struggled against them. So again, can you mask that? Can you not? When he plays the center position, I'm not sure. Depending on who you have around him, but he leaves a little bit of desired, in the quote unquote, run blocking territory. So then that forwards me down to the most interesting case in this particular conversation is Zion Johnson. Now, Zion Johnson, for me, I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy here. I don't, but I'm compelled on this platform to have an honest opinion. I don't get the Zion positionally moving to center idea at all. I don't get it. And let me say this about Zion first, before I, take my feet, both of them, and kick his back end proverbially on the other side of this, conversation. Zion's a very strong physical guard. And I said guard intentionally. He could be a mover in the run game, but boy, did he struggle in pass protection. If you're on social media at all, especially Twitter, as a Chargers fan, you lived through it through all the 2024 season. You saw it. He is a very dominant at the point of attack when you're running behind him, but he has struggled in moving his feet in pass protection. That has definitely been an issue for him. I just can't, say it, any other way. He's gotten horsewhipped on quite a few downs on pass protection downs. Those obvious pass situations where he got to anchor and rock back and move them feet, it is left a lot to be desired in 2024. Now, the problem I have with Zion is that because he's strong, and I don't want to use a whole lot of cliches here, but my issue with him is that he tends to want to overpower everybody, and you can't do that. He does not want to move his feet the way he needs to as an interior lineman. I think I've lost count of how many times throughout the course of the last season where I saw him just stand there, not even flat-footed, but dead-footed. He didn't want to slide his feet at all. He just wanted to use his upper body strength to kind of move you out the way, and that's just not going to work in the NFL. These guys are way too savvy, way too athletic to be able to do that. You have to move your feet. Your lateral movement is everything in pass protection. Rashad Slater, Joe Alton, anybody else that works well in the pass game. You got to be able to slide them feet, man. I mean, it's not just for linebackers; it's for everybody in on offense, especially that on the O-line. You got to be able to move them feet. So again, I just don't understand exactly what the idea of him moving to center is, because again, I just don't understand exactly what they think about Zion. I mean, let's just harken back to the Texas game. It just make you want to throw your hands up in regards to what he did or didn't do in regards to protecting Justin Herbert in particular with that D line. They made easy work of the whole interior O line and got to Justin Herbert at will. So I just don't understand the idea of him moving to center in his own right. I think he's a stick at guard. He's better at guard, and they should just leave it at that. Because let's be honest, because being a center in the NFL is a different animal. A lot of people don't realize how important it is of having a good, intelligent center at that position. He got to be super smart, got to call out blitzes, put the O-line at right protections at every point and every time that they're going to pass the ball. And I'll take that all day if you have that over a mauler that can't, or somebody that can't, quote unquote, I take him over a mauler in somebody that can't pass protect. I don't want that. I don't want you to be a mauler and can't pass pro if you're a center. I just don't want that. I mean, if you're a mauler and you want to move people in the run game, that's fine and dandy for a guard. Still some shortcomings in every space, but I don't want that for a center. I need you to be super intelligent and smart and call out things the right way and get yourself in your line in the right position to block up these stunts, these blitzes, and all that good jazz. So speaking of Zion specifically, I just think he needs to focus on his lateral movement. I think he needs to focus on being better at pass pro guard, not a center, but a guard. Putting that type of pressure on him to be the captain of the line when he's still trying to figure out a way to be a solid and dominant former first-round pick guard is too much pressure on him, I think, at this stage of his career. I just think it's too much. I think you should let him fight out for the left guard position and leave it at that. And that's just where my money lies. I don't think the idea of him, trying to be improved and still trying to ascend and improve in his skill set and having him be pressured into playing center is just something he's not ready for. I just don't think he's ready for it personally. So we'll see how things go. But I just think they need to leave him a left guard and should have gone up there and got themselves a center or somebody more intelligent that has a better skill set that's going to be able to play center position and anger this O-line, because they're really one center away. If Zion can come back improved, they're really one center away from being a dominant O-line, but you got to get there. So where does that leave me when I think about who should win the starting job? Now, between the three, I would say this, and it's worth reiterating that they should have drafted or signed a guard or a center in offseason. I said that quite a few times. I would even, he went undrafted, so I would have taken Jake Majors. Again, I'm crying over spilled milk, but I would have taken Jake Majors and left, Traquez Bridges on the shelf as far as being undrafted before I went out and got another center, a corner. I wouldn't have got another corner. I wouldn't have got a center. So that's my take on that particular aspect of it. I would have done that. So, that being said, you got to deal with what you have to deal with, and who are you going to take if you got to deal with the guys you have in camp, right? So if I got to roll with two guys that will hopefully going to protect Justin Herbert in a positive degree, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that hopefully that Zion improves himself in all the season and he can be blocked in and be better in pass pro and left guard, and I will keep him there. And then give me Andre James at center. I want Andre James at center. I want him playing center for me. I just can't deal with another year Bradley Bozeman trying to protect Justin Herbert. It just does not work. At this point, his shortcomings are his shortcomings. He's too old to make me believe that he's going to improve drastically in that area. I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I would rather have, James's intelligence and leadership over a guy that can run block. I'm sorry. I understand that Bradley Bowman's a tough cookie, but his failures in pass protection and putting the O-line in best positions to win, he puts them in bad spots against stunts and blitzes all the time. And that let me know that was enough for me to see that I want to jump ship. I'm completely off the Bradley Bozeman bandwagon. I'm sorry. So a better pass protecting center in James, and give me 4 good maulers and that will cover him, with Slater, Johnson, Beckton, and Alt. And I'm thinking we could be in the best possible scenario we can be. And that should be the O-line. And Bradley Bozeman can help out on goal line situations and short yardage packages that will help the Chargers get those few yards and move the ball. But that's my take on it. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this particular stretch of O-line and who you think will win the job. And remember, to hit that subscribe button to never miss any Chargers content. And you always got to remember to vote up.